Haunted highways, 7 sinister rules long-haul truckers must follow to survive the cursed road. The night was thick with darkness and dread as Sam Richards gripped the steering wheel of his rig. Every bump in the road felt too deliberate, too alive. The hum of the engine vibrated like a warning bell. He heard the tales at that diner, warnings from weathered truckers about the cursed roads of America. You break the 7 sinister rules, they said, and you might as well kiss your soul goodbye. With his restless heart drumming a panic beat, Sam rolled through the foggy night. The headlights cut through the haze, revealing ghostly shapes that shimmered in the ether. Shadows flickered just beyond his vision, whispers wafting like smoke in the storm of silence. His skin prickled when he remembered the stories, the terrible, twisted fates of drivers who veered too far from the path. Suddenly, an eerie chill crept in, as if a shroud of death wrapped around him. He recalled one rule: never trust the flickering lights. Ahead, he spotted a silhouette, the faint glimmer of a truck stop, its neon buzz buzzing intermittently like a dying man's last breath. His gut twisted. He could almost hear the laughter of the damned echoing in the distance, mocking him in the darkness. Just a drink, Sam, he muttered to himself, gripping the wheel tighter. His daughter's face flashed in his mind, a plea to come home safely. But as he rolled into the stop, something felt off, a heavy air that thickened with tension and dread. He parked and stepped out, the sound of gravel crunching beneath his boots echoing like a funeral march. The looming presence of the old diner loomed, with blinking lights flickering like lost souls. Gritty men shuffled within, fueled by stories of what waited outside their windows. "Help us," they whispered, glancing nervously toward the fog that thickened further. Sam's heart raced. A trucker, grizzled and gray, shared stories he could hardly grasp of ghostly figures wandering the roads, stragglers that once drove deep into the night before vanishing without a trace. "The rules, kid. Follow them and you just might make it," the man growled, his eyes hollow. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Back in his truck, Sam's thoughts raced faster than the tires on asphalt. He started driving, trying to shake the sensation of being followed, as if something unholy clung to the shadows. The radio crackled ominously, static weaving through urgent voices, warning him about unseen threats lurking ahead. A sudden flash of headlights illuminated the road, revealing the sheriff's patrol car tailing him, its silhouette poised with menace. Heart pounding, Sam felt driven to the edge of panic. Why were truckers disappearing? What would become of him if he found himself in a situation where the rules no longer protected him? The sighs of lost souls echoed in his head as the fog thickened, wrapping around his truck like a snake about to strike. With every curve in the twisting road, he grew more ensnared by an unraveling truth, a truth darker than he'd ever known, gripping him tighter as the headlights of the sheriff flickered dangerously close. Trapped between the highway's curse and an unseen horror, Sam wondered if he'd become just another story whispered in diners, lost forever to the haunted highways. The radio crackled again, voices seeping through the static, calling his name into the void, leaving him to face the shadow of an uncertain fate. The shadows clung to Sam's truck like a vice, tightening with every mile he put between himself and the diner. The sheriff's car followed closely, headlights blazing, turning the fog into an eerie spotlight. Sam glanced at the rearview mirror. The sheriff's face was hidden behind dark shades, his features obscured by the reflection of a ghostly landscape. Sam's grip on the wheel grew slippery with sweat. "Come on, just a bit further," he urged himself, his voice cracking with desperation. The radio crackled violently again, voices twisting together, rising and falling like a wave of terror. "Sam, you have to listen," one voice implored, laden with urgency and fear. Suddenly, the sheriff's car flickered, the lights dimming for a split second before flaring back to life. Sam's stomach dropped. He remembered the flickering lights rule. Was it a trap? He slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching in protest as his heart raced with every thought of the unknown. The sheriff's car was also slowing, its headlights bouncing erratically as if the driver was struggling to stay on the road. Sam fought against the wave of cold panic threatening to pull him under. He had to make a choice: accelerate blindly or pull over and possibly face whatever it was that hunted them both. "Follow the rules, Sam," he whispered, clenching his jaw. So he took a deep breath and steered his truck off the road, veering onto an abandoned path flanked by broken trees, their jagged branches twisted like skeletal hands reaching out in agony. As his truck crawled down the overgrown track, the fog thickened, swallowing sound and light, turning the world into a suffocating nightmare. He felt something shift inside him, an unsettling premonition prickling the back of his neck. He had a choice to make: would he spend the night among the wreckage of broken dreams and lost souls, or would he risk returning to the road, to the shadows moving just beyond? Then it happened. The radio exploded with an evil laughter that bounced off the metal walls of his truck. It was a sound he had never heard before: inhuman, mocking, taunting. The gears inside him shifted to fight or flight. A sudden jolt pushed him back and forth in his seat, and he gripped the wheel, knuckles white with dread. "Get out!" The voice rang through the static. Desperation clawed at his throat. Had it come from the radio or was it inside his head? He glanced in the rearview mirror, and the reflection hung like a ghost, a blurred figure standing in the fog by the sheriff's car. It leaned against the cruiser, chin tilted up, eyes black and dripping dark shadows. Breath caught in his throat, Sam tore his gaze away. He turned the key in the ignition, the engine sputtered but didn't roar to life. "Come on, don't do this," he begged, panic rolling through him. But the engine repeated its labored coughing. "Run!" The voice screamed now, both familiar and terrifying. Suddenly, everything surged. The lights of the sheriff's car flashed a warning and then flickered out, plunging Sam into complete darkness. He lunged out of his truck, heart hammering, lungs burning with raw fear. He was exposed, and whatever he was running from was closer than ever. Was it really the sheriff, or was it a figment of this dreadful curse? The path behind him seemed deafeningly quiet, yet heavy with the weight of his choices. With wild eyes searching the darkness, unseen whispers slithered through the air, taunting him, promising him secrets of the cursed road. Every hair on his body stood on end. He could sense it, the cold presence lurking, ready to claim him. Then, a figure emerged from the fog, moving slowly, almost deliberately toward him. Sam's breath hitched. Was it friend or foe? And just like that, the hollow laughter returned, wrapping around him as he stood frozen in time, teetering on the edge of a decision that would change everything: fight the devil drawing near or surrender to the fate that awaited him on the haunted highways. What would he choose? Would the rules he'd heard at the diner be enough to save him, or was he already too lost to find his way back? As he braced for whatever was to come, the ground beneath him felt like it might open up and swallow him whole. But even among the shifting shadows, one chilling question lurked: what if the rules didn't apply anymore? The figure in the fog loomed closer, more defined now. Sam squinted through the haze, heart pounding a frantic beat in his chest. It was tall, too tall, with arms that seemed to extend unnaturally as it moved. A sickening chill wrapped around Sam, nearly freezing him in place. Whoever or whatever was out there was not here to help. "Why won't you run?" The creature croaked, the voice like gravel scraping against stone. Sam's instincts screamed at him to bolt, but terror clamped down on his legs. He could hardly breathe. This shadow was not what he expected, it was worse. A black hole pulling in all the light, pulling in all hope. "Run!" He finally found his voice, the word bursting forth with a surge of adrenaline that broke his paralysis. He turned and stumbled into the dense fog, branches clawing at his clothing, tearing at his skin like greedy hands. Behind him, the creature's laughter echoed through the mist, dark and twisted. "You think you can escape?" It sneered, the sound filling the air with dread. Those booming words sent a fresh wave of pain through his chest. He forced himself to keep moving, each step a battle against the unseen horrors that stalked this forsaken path. What had the radio said? What were the rules? The din of voices rushed back into his mind, but they were drowning beneath the weight of pure panic. He had to center himself, he had to remember. As he stumbled blindly forward, his foot caught on something, roots or rocks jagged and unforgiving. He tumbled down, feeling the earth scrape against his cheek. He inhaled dirt and fear, tearing himself away from the grip of nature's grasp. Pushing to his feet, he scanned the shadows. They were closing in, tightening like a noose. Then, a glimmer caught his eye just through the trees. Was it a light? Hope surged through him as he staggered toward it, praying it wasn't another cruel illusion. The light flickered insistently, drawing him in like a moth. Heart racing, he fought against the branches to reach it, the eerie laughter of the creature echoing behind him, weaving through the air, weaving through his mind. Suddenly, he burst through the underbrush and into a clearing. The light blazed ahead, illuminating what looked like an old, crumbling roadside shrine. Votive candles flickered in front of a statue draped in moss, its features obscured but eerily watchful. "This is it," he whispered to himself, a grim acceptance settling over him. But his sense of safety shattered as he turned, realizing he had left the path, the darkness now encircling the clearing. The whispers returned, insistent, mingling with the sound of footsteps that echoed just beyond his vision. The creature lurking just at the edges, eager to drag him back. "Please just leave me be," Sam muttered, desperation spilling from his lips. "No one escapes the rules," the creature hissed, the voice cold enough to freeze the very air. "You must make a choice, Sam. Sacrifice or surrender. Choose wisely." His heart raced as he realized what lay ahead: either appease whatever haunted this place or confront the shadows that stalked him at every turn. The candles flickered urgently, as if sensing his indecision. He could feel their heat, a stark contrast to the frigid encroaching darkness. But would they guide him to salvation or doom? "Do you want to know the truth?" the creature whispered, its breath heavy with malice. Sam's spine tingled. What truth could possibly justify this madness? The sweat rolled down his back as he considered his limited options, trapped within the clutches of a terrifying choice. And just as he opened his mouth to respond, a loud crash erupted from the trees, drawing his gaze away. What now? What other monstrosity awaited him just beyond reach? The laughter returned, and for a moment, Sam couldn't tell if it was inside his head or around him. But the question lingered heavily in the air: would he dare to uncover the truth, or would he let fear decide for him? The underbrush rustled violently, snapping Sam out of his mental fog. His breath caught in his throat as he turned, heart racing. The crashing noise intensified, a cacophony of branches snapping and roots gnashing as if the forest itself was waking from a long slumber. Then he saw it, a monstrous shape, behind the trees, bulky and draped in shadows. It moved with a slow, deliberate menace, its form shifting and undulating as if it were alive, an aberrant creature born from the darkness itself. The laughter had stopped, and in its place hung a tense silence that swelled like a drumbeat in Sam's ears. "Sam," it whispered, the voice familiar yet distorted. "Come join us, join us." The thought sent a shiver down his spine, and he took a step back, but there was nowhere to go. The clearing, once a beacon of light, now felt like a trap, a grotesque altar waiting for its sacrifice. His gaze darted between the flickering candles and the advancing figure, trying to make sense of his predicament. He needed answers. He had to confront whoever or whatever had made that sound. "What do you want from me?" he shouted into the void, dread wrapping around his throat. "Your light," the beast replied, its voice sliding like oil over metal. "Each candle represents a soul lost in the depths of the fog. To survive, you must offer one of your own." Sugary remorse flooded through him. He remembered the stories, the warnings echoing down dusty highways, tales of truckers vanishing, drivers who had unwittingly entered realms they shouldn't have, all sacrificed to whatever dark entity roamed these cursed roads. But as survival fought against sanity, he couldn't bring himself to believe this was his fate. "Just leave me alone," he snapped, feeling the strong pull of panic clawing at his insides. The creature paused, a moment of tension hanging in the air. "Do you know the rules, Sam?" it hissed, the shadows coiling tighter around its figure. "The first rule, trust nothing, not even your own eyes." Sam's stomach dropped. Was everything he'd witnessed an illusion? Had the light of the candles been a trick meant to lure him into the depths of despair? Second rule, to escape the fog, you must embrace your darkness, not run from it. The edges of the clearing shimmered, twinkling like stars fading into the night. He stared at the candles. If they contained the spirits of the lost, surely he couldn't offer anything more than himself. But would the sacrifice even matter? Would it spare him? As if mocking his internal struggle, the creature let out a deep, throaty laugh. "Choose, Sam. Surrender to the fog, or confront the shadows that haunt your dreams." A sudden flash illuminated the clearing, an unearthly glow that overtook the space, casting stark shadows that twisted and writhed. Sam staggered back, caught between the hellish options gnawing at his sanity. Then he spotted something beneath the statue, a glimmer, almost imperceptible. What was it? His heart raced as curiosity wrestled with the instinct to flee. Does the truth draw you closer, or do you fear what it reveals? The creature taunted, its eyes narrowing. Which path will you choose? With the weight of eternity pressing upon him, Sam's hand grasped the shrinking flicker of hope, ready to subvert fate or seal it forever. The question clung to him, was it knowledge or ignorance that would lead to his salvation? Before he could think further, the figure lunged, its elongated arms stretching impossibly, a rush of malevolence hurtling toward him. Sam's eyes widened as he prepared to confront his fate. As he braced for impact, a desperate thought emerged: what if the truth was worse than the darkness? And just as the creature's claws grazed his skin, understanding fell upon him like a shroud. What if to know the truth meant to lose everything? Sam's heart raced as the creature's claws scraped his skin, sending shockwaves of pain through his body. The world twisted around him, time stretched like taffy. He barely registered the sensation of warmth spilling from the scratch when the being recoiled, a guttural snarl escaping its lips. "Ah, brave soul! But does bravery come without sacrifice?" it hissed, its eyes gleaming in the night like twin lanterns of despair. The clearing shifted, trees bending under the weight of an unseen force, as if trying to break free from this nightmarish reality. Panic surged through Sam. The flickering candlelight danced in madness, morphing the wick's flames into skeletal fingers beckoning him closer. He had to make a choice. The words of the creature echoed in his mind, filling him with dread. The truth or the darkness? Which would lead to his escape? In an almost instinctual movement, Sam crouched down to grasp the glimmer that caught his eye. His fingers closed around the object. It was a small key, ornate and cold. Shivers reverberated through him. What did it unlock? "Do you seek answers?" The creature's voice dripped with mockery. "Or are you merely stalling before your demise?" Ignoring the taunts, Sam fought to stand. He could feel something swirling within him, a mixture of resolve and fear. He peered at the candles. To learn the truth, he might have to snuff one out. Would that really save him, or only bind him to the fog? The creature loomed closer, towering like a dark cloud. "You have to choose, Sam. A sacrifice must be made. Why are you doing this?" he shouted, his voice trembling, fighting against a tide of despair. "Because this is what the fog demands." The beast's laughter split the night, sending shivers rippling through the air. "And you, my dear, are its latest offering." Sam stumbled backward, heart hammering. Had he not come here at the fateful crossroads? The weight of the key felt heavy in his palm, a tangible connection to what lay hidden in the shadows. The fog began to expand, creeping toward him like the cold fingers of death. He had to use the key, he could feel it. Stories floated in his mind, tales from the road. There were whispers of truckers who found secret paths, of roads hidden within the fog to escape the curse. Use it. Use the key. Something inside him screamed. He turned, scanning the clearing. The candles flickered, threatening to extinguish any instant light of hope. In that moment, he noticed a door set deep within the twisted roots of a gnarled tree. It was half hidden, draped in vines that seemed to pulse with malevolence. With no time to waste, he charged toward it, the creature's growl vibrating through the air, resonating with the very marrow of his bones. His heart pounded as he reached the door, breathless and terrified. But the fog released whispers, soft and coaxing. What will you find inside? Freedom? Or another layer of madness? Chills spread across him. He inserted the key into the rusted lock, fingers trembling with trepidation. The creature's howls filled the air, a cacophony of rage and hunger. What lay beyond the door? As the lock clicked, blackness poured out, thick and suffocating, wrapping around Sam like chains. His heartbeat accelerated, and he kicked the door open. Inside, the darkness pulsed. Would stepping into that void seal his fate? The question raced through him as the creature lunged once more, fury twisting its expression, desperate to pull him back into the fog. Sam had to make a choice once more: dare to face the unknown inside, or succumb to the terror stalking him. Just as his feet crossed the threshold, the world erupted into chaos around him. What awaited him on the other side? An escape or a deeper nightmare? The darkness swallowed Sam whole. No sound. No light. Just a crushing void that seemed to stretch infinitely in every direction. He fought to breathe, the absence of air making his lungs ache. Panic seized him, clawing at his insides. Was he still alive? Was he somewhere tangible, or had he fallen into the depths of hell itself? Then, as suddenly as it had engulfed him, the thick blackness unraveled. A blink, and he stumbled onto a road paved, but twisted, lined with dead trees that arched overhead like skeletal fingers. The air felt electric, a tingling static that prickled across his skin. It was cold, freezing to the bone, and a chilling whispering rustled through the leaves, wrapping around him like a warning. Sam, it called out like a child's voice. Familiar. Comforting. But wrong. Come play. He shook his head, backing away. The fog still lingered, swirling at the edge of his vision, taunting him, daring him to step closer, to listen to the voices luring him. One sound broke through the growl of the creature, distant but lingering, as if trapped in the folds of the air around him. Whatever lay behind him, he needed to leave it behind. Instinct pulled him forward. Heart pounding, he took hesitant steps along the deserted road. It felt alive, the asphalt pulsating beneath his feet as the whispers grew louder, more urgent. Answer us. Answer the call. Who are you? He cried out, voice trembling. Show yourselves. The ground trembled as the coniferous trees shook like marionettes, and out of the shadows, they emerged figures cloaked in gray, faceless and gaunt, their movements jerky and disjointed. Travelers. They moaned in unison, their voices like the sound of rustling paper. Come to sacrifice, to feed. Feed? Sam's pulse quickened, and every ounce of courage hung by a thread. What do you want from me? A figure stepped closer, its empty gaze piercing, and whispered, you carry answers and a key. What kind of answers? He wished he could wipe the beads of sweat from his brow, but his hands were numb, gripped by fear. Those who walk the road in the fog know, but the darkness demands truth. Sacrifice must be made suddenly. A deep howl rang out, a terrible anger echoing from the mist behind him. The creature was closing in, drawn to the gathering. The faceless figures screeched, hissing in panic. Run, traveler. To the end of the road, or be consumed. The urgency of their words hit him hard, and he bolted down the crooked highway, breathless and terrified. Each step felt like a lurch toward an unseen doom, but ahead shimmered an amber light breaking through the fog. It beckoned, a flicker of hope. He raced toward it, heart hammering like thunder in his chest, but the whispers chased after him. "Join us, traveler, come feed, make your sacrifice." The figures blurred behind him, shadows stretching into nightmarish shapes. Sam skidded to a halt as he approached a bridge, its structure ancient and rotting like the remnants of forgotten memories. The light flickered at the other end, just a heartbeat away. But the creature's howl cut through once more, a terrifying roar that shook the very air. He felt it, closing in, hunting him like a predator. Would he risk crossing the bridge? Or turn back, knowing the fog held secrets darker than he could imagine? He looked back, the figures now advancing on him, their whispers quickening an incessant chant within the vapor. They closed in, hands reaching out, willowy fingers grasping, pulling him toward the void of screams. With a final glance at the amber light, he dashed for the bridge. Each step seemed to stretch like time itself, the world narrowing to the sound of his pounding heart, echoing in the stillness. But with every step forward, the creature's growl intensified, a chilling promise of horror caging him in. Would he find salvation on the other side, or was the only truth waiting there one of despair? As he reached the center of the bridge, the ground trembled violently beneath him, and shadows loomed closer. What haunted him more, his past, or the choices waiting on the other side? He crossed the threshold of the bridge, determined but trembling, heart racing in sync with an unseen menace. The air thickened with dread, each breath a reminder of the terror enveloping him. Halfway across, the wooden planks creaked ominously beneath his weight, shrieking like the voices of the craving shadows behind him. He refused to look back, the impulse to flee drowned out the need for curiosity. In front of him, the amber light pulsed, a heartbeat of hope, drawing him like a moth to a flame. He sprinted toward it, sweat cascading down his back. But as he neared the end, the tremors intensified. The bridge shuddered, something ancient and savage roared out from the fog, a promise sealed in malice. The creature was near. "You do not belong," it howled, its voice a blade slicing through the din of whispers. The sound ricocheted off the trees, a twisted melody of despair and longing. "Please. I just want to get to the other side." Sam's voice cracked, desperation making every word a struggle. Then, in a bizarre flicker of clarity, he noticed something moving in the light. It wasn't just a flashlight. It was the figure of a woman, her outline dim but unmistakable. She stood at the end of the bridge, arms outstretched as if awaiting an embrace or a reckoning. "Help me!" Sam called, his scream swallowed by the depths of the raucous night. He pushed forward, willing his legs to move faster, even as the air chilled further. But the shadows behind him rampaged with hunger, the faceless figures multiplying as they merged with the fog. "Join us! Become one!" They wailed, their distorted tones a chilling echo in the air. He could feel their fingers grazing his skin, thin and cold. "Don't listen to them," the woman cried, her voice cutting through the noise like a beacon. "You must choose. Either step into the light, or turn back and face the curse." Her presence sparked something deep inside him. He was losing time. The whispers clawed at his sanity, a crescendo of chaos and despair. "Which way?" he shouted, panic erupting in his chest. "The light is salvation. The darkness is your end." Clarity struck him like a surge of electricity. Without a second thought, he hurled himself toward the light, the weight of the fog clawing at his back, gnashing and screeching as he pushed forward. But something pulled him back, the bridge seeming to stretch infinitely, luring him into a twisted dance of dread. With every ounce of strength, he lunged towards the woman, desperation fueling his speed. She reached for him, her eyes wide with something more than just anguish understanding, a fierce determination burning behind her gaze. Just as his fingers brushed against hers, a booming crack echoed in the air. The bridge shook violently, splintering wood and screams echoing in a maelstrom of chaos. The ground beneath him gave way, and in that split second, he realized there was no safety net. Desperation turned to horror as he lost his footing. He fell, one final cry escaping his lips as he plummeted into the darkness below. But instead of the expected void, he landed on solid ground. Breathless and gasping, he looked up. Shadows crawled along the walls, vibrant with malice, secrets curling in the corners of his vision. The faint light from before was snuffed out, leaving him in a cavern, littered with broken memories. And there, standing before him, was the woman, yet now, she was not the beacon he had once imagined. Her eyes glinted with an ethereal glow, a smile that was all teeth and no warmth. "Welcome back," she said, her voice a sinister whisper slinking through the air. "Where am I?" He stammered, dread pooling in his stomach. "You're right where you need to be," she said, gliding closer, shadows dancing around her. "And now, we play." Was this part of the sacrifice demanded? How many souls before him had made this journey only to succumb to the darkness? What awaited him on the other side of that choice? As her laughter tinkled like shattered glass, Sam felt the first tendrils of realization pinch at his heart. Was he truly free to choose, or was he merely another pawn in a game spun by unseen hands? The cavern seemed to close in around him, whispering secrets he wasn't ready to know. What awaited him here, and were the whispers merely the beginning? The shadows shifted strangely, swirling around Sam as if eager to envelop him. Panic rippled through him, tightening every muscle. The woman's smile receded slightly, her features blurring as lights flickered in the cavern. They were not merely shadows, they were eyes watching, waiting. "Do not be afraid," she cooed, but her voice dripped with irony. "The game has just begun." "What game?" Sam asked, heart pounding in his ears. "The game of survival, my dear." She pointed to the cavern walls, grotesque imagery dancing in the flickering light. Faces frozen in horror, mouths open in silent screams. "Each story down here is a warning." The shadows stirred as though animated by his fear. They seemed to whisper broken tales of victims lost, curses repeated. Heretical chants echoed in the chamber, intertwining with the silence. He felt them grip him tighter, pulling at his legs, trying to snatch him back into the dark. Sam took a step back, instinctively searching for any means of escape. "I don't want to play," he shouted, but the cavern swallowed his words, mocking him. The woman stepped closer. "Oh, but you must. Your presence is desired, and to leave now would be a shame." A hint of malevolence laced her tone, twisting her lips into a smirk. "Desired?" he whispered, dread creeping up his spine. Was he more than just another tormented soul? Suddenly, a loud crack split the air, and a tremor shook the ground beneath him. He stumbled as the shadows writhed, their hunger palpable. He glanced back toward the walls where the faces twisted and morphed, each one echoing his silent plea to escape. "Don't fight it." Her laughter rang harshly, making the shadows quiver with delight. "You'll find that there's much to learn here." With a gulp, he considered what lay before him. The dark was thick and stifling, each breath laden with despair. As morbid curiosity clawed at his insides, he couldn't help but question the truth of her words. What could he learn that would help him? "Tell me," he said, voice trembling. "What is the first rule?" She tilted her head, her smile unervingly bright in the oppressive dark. "Ah, the first rule, listen closely." She leaned in, her breath cold against his skin. "Always keep your eyes on the light. Flickers here can often deceive." Sam cast a glance around. The flickering lights now appeared restless, blaring in his vision like a warning. "What happens if you don't?" Her eyes gleamed with mischief. "You become one of the faces in the walls." Their laughter intertwined with whispers that coiled around him, wrenching at his mind. His pulse thundered in his ears. What else? He managed to choke out, stepping further from the looming shadows that threatened deeper entanglement. Second rule, she continued, her voice slicing through the terror. Never trust the shadows. They are always watching, always waiting for a moment of weakness. As she spoke, tendrils of darkness stretched towards him, probing, as if sensing his fear. Swallowing hard, Sam backed away. What else? He gasped, feeling urgency seep through him. I need to know more. A low growl echoed throughout the cavern like a distant thunderclap, disrupting the momentary calm. Sam's heartbeat quickened with each passing second as the woman's laughter faded, replaced by the growls that came alive in the void. Third rule, she whispered with chilling delight. Run when the whispers grow too loud. And just as she finished the statement, the shadows erupted into a cacophony of sound, a discordant symphony of anguish that pressed down with overwhelming force. Panic surged through him, he turned, needing to flee from the luring darkness. A path suddenly opened, illuminated by a strange glow. The whispers shrieked louder, urging him to retreat deeper into the maze of shadows while her voice echoed in his mind. How many more rules must he learn? Was escape even possible? And with his heart hammering wildly in his chest, he bolted down the lighted corridor, unsure of what awaited him next. But behind him, the woman's laughter echoed, a haunting melody wrapping around him like a shroud, chilling him to the bone. When the whispers turned to screams, would he still be able to find the light? Or was it already too late? Sam sprinted down the glowing corridor, his heart racing like a freight train. The wall glimmered around him, and the whispers of the shadows receded, but only slightly. He could still hear them, a low roar just behind him, a hungry tide waiting to be unleashed. He glanced over his shoulder, the woman was gone, but he felt her presence in the thick air. The glow flickered, pulsating like a heartbeat, guiding him further into the unknown. Each step felt heavier, as if the very ground beneath him was trying to anchor him to its cursed nature. He saw doorways flanking him, each one darker than the last, carved with ragged edges like claws reaching out. Sam felt drawn to one, an instinct he couldn't shake. It was a steel door, unlike the others, and the surface gleamed too clean, a stark contrast to the chaos around. But he hesitated, fear gnawing at him like a rat in a trap. Go! He urged himself, adrenaline sparking like static in his veins. Yet the shadows curled tighter around him, their voices nudging at his mind, coaxing deeper terror. Do it! He darted toward the door, pushing it open. Inside, it was dark. He stepped in, and the door slammed shut behind him with a resounding finality. Panic constricted his throat, he felt trapped. Silence enveloped him thick and oppressive. He could barely breathe. As his eyes adjusted, he saw something move in the corner. A figure emerged, hunched and twisted. It didn't have a face. No features at all, just an emptiness, a void of despair. An embodiment of every lost soul that had ventured into this hell. What is this place? He whispered, backing away until he hit the door with a thud. Welcome, came a voice like a death rattle. The figure gestured, and the shadows that coiled around him expanded to form a mass of faces, each one caught in eternal torment. They wailed silently, mouths agape, eyes wide with terror. You're not just witnessing suffering, you're part of it now. The voice dripped with malice, echoing through the room. No, I didn't choose this. Sam screamed, desperation clawing at his throat. He turned, the emptiness behind him swallowing the light. He had to escape, he needed to learn the rules, but how could he when the cursed were all around him? Just then, the far wall shimmered and a new glow emerged. It pulsed like a heartbeat, familiar and warm. Could it be the way out? His instincts screamed to follow it. The dark figure lunged at him, but Sam took off, sprinting toward the light. Run, he thought, recalling her warning. The whispers roared back to life as he bolted past the anguished faces, their cries swallowed by the sound of his thundering heart. He burst through the door and into the corridor again, but the once clear path was now distorted, twisting into grotesque shapes. The cacophony of whispers grew louder behind him, like a tidal wave of despair crashing in. Each breath tasted of ash and fear, his limbs felt heavy. Would he make it? A flicker of movement caught his eye. A glimpse of another door swinging open not far ahead. Could it be another chance? Or would it lead to more nightmares? In the distance, he heard the woman's laughter again, taunting, sinister. The game isn't over, dear Sam. With no time to think, he ran, knowing that whatever lay ahead, he needed to choose quickly. Each flicker in the corridor showed him faces, old, young, all twisted in horror, and he wondered which of these might be him one day. What emerged next would determine whether he would be the predator or the prey. Would he find safety, or would the shadows claim him for good? Sam stumbled through the twisting path of the corridor, heart pounding like a war drum in his chest. Darkness enveloped him, swirling just beyond the limited reach of the dim light. The air was stifling, thick with whispers echoing threats and taunts that sank deep into his bones. He didn't have time to think, only to choose. That glimmering door beckoned him, promising a way out or doom. Breathless, he charged forward, each step an act of defiance against the horror closing in behind him. The hints of laughter rolled through the shadows, a reminder that he wasn't just an escapee from the dark, he was part of a sinister theater with unseen puppeteers. As he neared the door, the laughter intensified, weaving into an unholy symphony that sent shivers down his spine. He turned the handle and pushed through, praying for hope on the other side. It was as if a wind from hell threw himself back, yet he willed himself forward, pushing past the threshold. The door slammed shut behind him, leaving him in an expansive room, dimly lit as if bathed in twilight. He was not alone. The walls dripped with darkness, casting shadows of lost souls that writhed in agony. The faces, a chorus of despair, echoed around him, their mouths agape but soundless, their eyes wide with horror. No, this can't be happening, Sam choked, feeling the reality of his situation closing in like a vice. Welcome, a voice rasped from the shadows, chilling him to the core. He turned to see the twisted figure he had encountered. Its empty face, devoid of humanity or compassion, loomed before him. You've chosen to play our game, and now you know the cost, it continued, the shadows swirling hungrily around its form. Each soul you encounter is a story of betrayal, each whisper is a choice you didn't make. What are you talking about? Sam shouted, desperation spilling from his voice while confusion played havoc with his thoughts. Answer the call and join them, or find your way. Find the light, it hissed, gesturing to the agony binding the room. Do you have what it takes to confront your darkness? You claim to resist, yet here you stand, just like them. Each tortured face felt as if it were reaching for him, straining against the confines of its prison. Sam's heart sank, he saw fear and despair, but also something else: fury. Raw, untamed anger simmered in front of him. These souls had faced their demons and stood at the edge of oblivion. Choose. The figure shrieked. Surrender your light, or find a way to climb back into the world above. What lay behind him? The fog still waited, fogging his mind with memories of pain. It clawed at his thoughts, twisting what he once hoped for into guilt. He remembered his daughter, her laughter a golden ray that filtered through the dark. He couldn't let it drag him down, he had to fight. With a surge of resolve, Sam pushed against the tide of horror, a primal instinct guiding him. No more. He yelled, defiance igniting like wildfire. I won't give in. And just like that, the shadows recoiled slightly, as if weakened by his unwavering spirit. Sam focused on the flickering candlelight illuminating the room, glancing back at the figure. What if I choose to confront the truth? Those words hung heavy in the air. The figure's laughter twisted into a snarl. Truth is the path to anguish, traveler. But select wisely, for the darkness awaits to devour the light. Breathless, he made his choice. I'll face the truth. He shouted. I'd rather endure the pain than lose myself to the darkness. As he stood firm, the room began to shake. The candles flickered wildly, casting spider-like shadows across the walls. The echoes of the tortured souls crescendoed, sealing him in their fate. Then, a blinding light exploded from beneath the floor, shooting up like an arrow toward the vaulted ceiling. The light seared through him with undeniable clarity, and for the first time, Sam saw the truth behind the pain. Visions flooded his mind, memories of those he loved, the burdens he carried, the weight of every choice he regretted. Each vision was like a dark mirror reflecting his fears. But he understood now, to confront the shadows meant accepting his past, and with it, his power. The shadows screamed, swirling violently as he embraced the painful truth. "I am not afraid," he roared, as light enveloped him, each beam igniting a different fragment of his spirit. With a final glimpse at the twisted figure, he said, "You win today." The figure screeched, wailing in protest as the light surged forth, washing over the tortured souls, illuminating their paths. One by one, they glowed, transforming from phantoms of despair to radiant beings, freed by Sam's courage to confront what he feared most. The shadows thrashed and wriggled, repulsed by the light, and Sam felt the pull of darkness retreating. He stepped forward, guided by the light now bright enough to guide him. As he moved ahead, he realized he wasn't just battling for himself, he was battling for every soul ensnared and lost to the horrors of the haunted highways. Breaking free from the darkness at last, he burst through another door, tumbling forward into the open air. The night enveloped him, but now it was contrasted with the shimmering light illuminating the horizon. He squinted, recognizing the signs of the highway safety lay just ahead. Breathless, he leaned against the trucking rig that had been waiting there all along. And as he caught a glimpse of the sky, streaked with dawning light, he finally felt the chains of the past release him. "It's over," he sighed, allowing relief to sink into him. But somewhere deep within, he knew that the haunted highways would always whisper, always call. With a final glance back into the fog, he whispered a promise. "You take me again." He climbed into his truck, the hum of the engine a comforting embrace as he peeled away toward the horizon, leaving the curse behind at least for now. But one thing was certain, whenever he returned to those roads, he would remember the rules. Because the darkness might always linger near, but knowing the truth would keep it at bay. Not just for himself, but for every trucker who felt the weight of that haunting call. Now, let us talk about you. If you enjoyed this conclusion, you need to subscribe now so you don't miss exclusive stories that will chill you to the bone. Smash that like button now to help our content reach more horror fans just like you. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about Sam's final choice. What do you think he learned on the haunted highways? Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support for chilling tales that bring the darkness into the light.